Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, June 16th, 5:46 a.m. Central Time as I speak here. July corn futures up 1.5 at 775.5. December corn up 4.5 at 725.5. July soybeans up a quarter at 16.94. November soybeans down a quarter at 15.23 1/4. July Chicago wheat up 1 3/4 at 10.51 3/4. July Kansas City wheat down 2 1/4 at 11.31. July spring wheat up 2 at 12.03 1/4. If you guys are listening on the podcast, as always, appreciate it, guys. Leave me a rating, leave me a review if you have not already. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on in your neighborhood. Crop updates. Love to hear that sort of stuff. If you'd like some additional information from me, go to my website, www.standardgrain.com. Check out my premium subscription service, guys. If you like the podcast, if you like the YouTube channel, you'll love the premium service. I send my premium subscribers a ton of information direct from me every single business day. Morning email, charts, graphics, subscriber-only videos. There's a new subscriber-only video every single business day. Yesterday, I did kind of an off-topic one regarding Bitcoin, the collapse that we've seen there, the collapse that we've seen in cryptocurrencies in general. You may ask yourself, Joe, why are you talking about Bitcoin? This is supposed to be a grain market deal, right? And that is true. But the fact of the matter is this. I would venture to say that I talk about, write about, make videos about the grain markets probably more than anybody on the entire planet. I do this all day, every day. I don't take days off. I don't take vacations. So sometimes it becomes exhausting to talk about grain markets every minute of every day. So yeah, I do throw in some off-topic stuff from time to time. And to be honest, this is some of the most popular stuff I do when I talk about things like the stock market or crypto or things along those lines. So if you guys are interested in this premium content, sign up today. It's $50 a month. You can cancel at any time. There's no other fee, no other obligation. Nobody will try to sell you anything else, I promise. The U.S. Corn Belt will turn dry over the next 7 days. You can see the radar is pretty blank here this morning, really not much going on anywhere. You look at expected precipitation over the next 7 days, and again, largely pretty much blank. You can almost see this high pressure ridge here on the precipitation map. All the rainfall is going to be locked out of the Midwest and the Corn Belt and the Plains and confined to areas further north and further east, further west, that sort of thing. In terms of heat, it's going to continue. The shot on my screen here is what's expected to be your max temperature on Tuesday next week. And you're talking 90s for Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I mean, everywhere. So this heat's going to stick around here for a little while. Your 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day maps indicating more of the same. Now, the GFS run this morning suggests perhaps that some cooler temperatures return around June 29th. I don't know if the market is trading the weather that far out. Keep in mind, we've got a 3-day weekend coming up, and 3-day weekends during the summer are notorious for flip-flops in the weather forecast, for volatility in the markets on the reopen. So come Monday afternoon, when the markets are closed again on Monday, traders will be looking very closely at those forecasts and what they're showing us for that first week of July, and that could be a big market mover one way or the other. We know that this weather in June does not have a strong correlation with corn production or corn yields, but July weather absolutely does. So that's what matters a whole lot more. NOPA released May crush data yesterday, best May soybean crush on record. Members of the National Oilseed Processors Association crushed 171.077 million bushels of soybeans in May. That was up 0.8 of a percentage point versus April and up 4.6% versus May of last year. Despite the seasonal record, the print was actually slightly below expectations, but still really good. Domestic processors, of course, typically account for about half of all demand for soybeans grown in the U.S. Soybean oil stocks were the smallest since September. So all in all, pretty good deal here. That's a supportive factor in regard to the soybean market, I would argue. The Fed raised its benchmark overnight lending rate by 0.75 of a percentage point yesterday. I'm sure you've seen this by now. The move was in line with newly updated trade expectations, and the trade updated their expectations following last Friday's CPI print. So your new Fed fund target rate is 1.5 to 1.75 percentage points. That's the highest since 2019. So you got to go back to pre-COVID to find rates this high. And they're still very low historically, don't get me wrong. Fed members generally expect the rate to be near 3.4% by year's end. If you're watching on my screen here, I've got the dot plot from Bloomberg. So they generally expect by the end of this year, the Fed fund rate to be 3.4, maybe closer to 3.8 by the end of 2023. And then they think we'll be able to back back it off again by 2024. Fed Chair Jerome Powell did a press conference after. I've got a few quotes from him. He said this: "We're not trying to induce a recession now. Let's be clear about that." He also said, "There's a pathway here. It's not going to be easy." And then my favorite one is this: "Clearly, people do not like inflation." Fed members expect inflation to ease to 5.2% by the end of this year and expect a more normal inflation rate of about 2.6 in 2023. A lot of people question the Fed's credibility, as they clearly did not foresee this current inflationary environment. So if they didn't foresee that, how are they going to foresee what's going to happen the next 12 months? It's a big question. And the Fed number, I mean, you're talking 0.75 of a percentage point, a range of 1.5 to 1 3/4. That is not indicative of the Main Street rise in interest rates. The average 30-year mortgage rate is like 6%, up from 3% in November of 2021. That's a real number that affects real people, whereas this benchmark lending rate is just kind of something that's only available to big banks and institutions, people like that. So rates are rising, and it will have an effect on the economy. It may be lagging, but things like the housing market, things like operating money, in regard to a lot of you guys watching, it's going up, and drastically. U.S. ethanol production increased last week. Weekly output 1.06 million barrels per day. That was up 2 percentage points on the week, up 3.4% versus the same week last year. Still, we're about 2% below the same week in 2019, which is your last pre-COVID year. Ethanol stocks down 2 percentage points on the week, but remain at the highest level on record seasonally. Gasoline demand, that's what I got on my screen here. Gasoline demand was down 1% on the week, down 2.9% versus the same week last year. But still, I mean, this is not a terrible gasoline demand number, and I still don't think we've seen anything that I'd call a material reduction in gasoline demand, despite the fact that prices are at record highs. Ethanol production margins generally positive despite high corn prices. So things still pretty good in regard to ethanol right now. We do have an export sales report from USDA this morning. Old crop corn sales expected 100 to 500. New crop corn sales expected 200 to 600. Old crop soybean sales expected 100 to 500. New crop 100 to 600. Wheat sales 200 to 600 for the current marketing year. The cattle market was higher to sharply higher yesterday. Feeder cattle higher as well. Cash cattle was, again, really good in the north, in particular, 144 to 148. In the south, 136 to 138. Reports of lots of death losses in the south due to the heat. I'm not sure of the size and scope, but that's a fact that stuff happened and is happening. In the outside markets, the U.S. dollar is higher. The S&P's down 87 points. The Dow down 573, giving back a lot of what it gained yesterday in the stock market. Gold's up $2. Crude oil is down 82 cents in the August WTI contract, 112.28 last trade. Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you Friday.